And I just want to wish everyone a Happy New Year and thank everyone for attending tonight, both people in the room and those people who are watching online. It's going to be a big year for Stratford and going to be a big year for the world, I guess. There's going to be a lot of changes, and so we're looking forward to positive changes here in Stratford and hopefully some good news in the future in terms of funding. First thing I'd like to do is acknowledge the land upon which we gather is the unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq, and we pay our respects to the Indigenous Mi'kmaq people of this territory, past, present, and future. Before we get further into the agenda, does anyone around the table have any conflict of interest with any of the items we're going to be covering here tonight? If not, I'll go to approval of the agenda. Is there any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda that anyone would like to suggest?
So I just want to confirm, Mr. Mayor, if I might, that all of you have before you the resolutions from planning with respect to holding of the public meeting, as well as our the child care centers or anything like that. I just might put it as I might just put a business arising from the minutes, perhaps. I think is the best thing I'll do.
It's not part of item 12 right now?
Not necessarily, no. It's just more of an update. So I think I'll just stick it into business arising from the minutes, I think would be the best thing to do.
Okay, so do you want that as a separate agenda item?
No, I think just upon reflection, I think that's what I'll just put in business arising from.
Okay.
No, not resolutions, just updates on some resolutions, I guess, more than anything. So I'll just do that as business arising.
Okay, with that note then, is there any other changes anyone would like to, or comments anyone would like to make before I ask for approval of the agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Thank you.
Yeah, second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried. Okay, the minutes of our regular monthly meeting of 11th of December are in your package. Any additions, deletions, or changes to those minutes that anyone would like to suggest? Or any errors that anyone noticed? If not, I'll ask for a motion for approval of those minutes.
I'll move.
Thank you. Anyone, seconder?
I was absent.
Oh, you were absent? You were absent as well?
Yeah.
Can you second the minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried. Okay, business arising from the minutes. Is there anything that we won't be covering here tonight that is in those minutes that we need to follow up on?
Just two items, more for information than anything, Mr. Mayor, and I do thank Mr. McKeegan, who's present here, for providing this information. If you may recall, at the December the 11th meeting, we did pass a resolution calling for a public meeting to discuss a special permit use of a stacked semi-detached dwelling going to be located at 40 and 42 Smallwood Terrace, perhaps. And we had talked about a date scheduling for that public meeting. I just want to let everybody know, although it wasn't in email correspondence earlier, just for the record, it's going to be January the 29th, I believe, at 7 p.m. Letters were sent out yesterday, and so we do hope for good attendance at that. And then just with respect to another matter that had been on for resolution on December the 11th, with respect to general text amendments for our child care centers, we sent out letters to all licensed daycares in Stratford yesterday, informing them of those proposed changes, essentially keeping it in line with the provincial legislation. So just wanted to give everybody an update on those two things.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other business arising that anyone would like to follow up on? If not, we'll go to next item is presentations from the floor. Do we have any presentations from the floor tonight? No? Okay, the next item is my report, and it's in your package. It was a fairly quiet month. It was obviously Christmas, and but there were some important things that I'd like to highlight. One is a meeting with our Member of Parliament, Lawrence Macaulay. The CAO and Deputy CAO and myself went to meet with Lawrence Macaulay to discuss federal funding for the Community Campus Wellness Center, and he undertook to help us and see what he could do, and we're going to follow up. We undertook at that meeting to follow up mid-January, which we'll be doing this week, to see if we can get that finalized, hopefully before the end of the month or as soon as possible, because we really need to get that in place in order to proceed with our wellness center. Another highlight was the Youth Center Awards ceremony, and that's, I guess that's probably my favorite event of the year, because it's always really positive, and it's really inspiring to see the youth and all the hard work they do and how much they help the town, how engaged they are in community affairs. I think it bodes well for the future, and really it's a really nice event, and it's well deserved. The hours that these youth put in is just incredible, and the work they do, and I'd like to pay a special tribute to Dwayne Pino, who really is the glue that holds that whole thing together, and of course Jeremy Pierce on the recreation side. It's just a great thing for the town to have that. The Youth Center also put on a production of A Christmas Carol, and for those that were able to go, it was very enjoyable, and it really got everybody into the Christmas spirit, so it was really, really nice. The New Year's Levy, again, was very successful, had a lot of people through, and I'm not sure of the numbers, but it was a really good levy. I think everyone that came enjoyed themselves, and it was really, really nice to see everyone. We had a meeting with the commanding officer of the RCMP, Chief Superintendent Kevin Lewis, and he was with his commanding officer, Sergeant Nick Doyle, and one other senior officer, I didn't catch her name, to discuss policing in Stratford, and we had a great discussion and covered a lot of important issues. The Crime Stoppers luncheon to present awards to honor the 2024 Law Enforcement Officers of the Year. I guess our RCMP was Jamie Parsons, Constable Jamie Parsons, yeah, whose efforts to stop impaired driving on PEI were recognized as deserving of recognition as law enforcement, one of the 3 law enforcement officers of the year for PEI, and it was
Stratford resident.
Yeah, Stratford resident, and it was presented by one of our counselors, Councilor Ron Dowling, who's the president of Crime Stoppers, coordinator. Okay, the leader of Crime Stoppers. So we're really lucky to have him as part of that organization as well. That's my report. Any comments or questions on my report? If not, we'll move to Chief Administrative Officer report. I'll ask Chief Administrative Officer Jeremy Crosby to give his report.
Thank you, Your Worship. My report is in your package. I'll just go over a few items or highlights. Attended a meeting with and debrief on the volunteer holiday social event that we had this year. We looked at what went well and what can be improved for the following year, and I think some of the consensus is that we will move the holiday social back to the town hall next year. It seemed to be a good event in the past and nice with the lobby and all the cafe tables set up outside, so I think that's something we're going to try for next year, and a few other things that we looked at. Attended a meeting with the Director of Planning and a developer regarding the purchase of land in the business park. We're getting lots of interest on the land in the business park. We feel that we're very close to securing a sale of a few of those properties now, so but there's more and more interest as we go along, and we're also looking at a couple of the existing lots in the older section of the business park as well. Participated in a virtual meeting with the Deputy CEO and the federal government representatives to talk about our application regarding the Green and Inclusive Buildings Fund. Really good discussion with the 2 employees that are involved with that, with the federal government, and we've been told that we're going to hear back sometime in either mid to late January or early February. So as the mayor indicated, it's important that we get that funding and we get going with the health and wellness facility. Attended several meetings to discuss the reorganization of the office space here at the town hall, and I know if councillors are coming through here in the new year, you will see that some folks that used to be in offices have moved to other offices, and we've freed up some space. Jeremy Pierce, along with other staff, did a great job of getting some plans down to look at the reorganization, and you know, we were able to create some additional office space here with minimal renovations. Attended a meeting with planning staff and a legal representative, our legal representative, to discuss the proposed short-term rental bylaw, which is coming close to being to a final draft and will be coming to council here soon. And attended a meeting with infrastructure staff to review and answer questions regarding the essential employees reporting to work directive. A few of the employees that work outdoors quite regularly had a few questions with regard to that directive and who reports to work during storm conditions and who stays home, so we clarified that. Finally, I'd like to announce that we've secured an HR coordinator / manager for the town, and Michelle Messiah has now taken the job, and it's a little over her first week here. So far, she's really gripped into the job. She's looked at a lot of our policies, and she reviewed one of the policies that you're going to be hopefully approving tonight, and she's going to be a great person to have with the organization, and she's really blending in well so far, and I'm sure you'll get to see her or meet her here soon, but really pleased that we were able to secure her in that position. So happy to answer any questions with regard to the report. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now move on to Safety Services, and the new chair of that committee is Councillor Ron Dowling, and I'll ask him to give his report now.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Safety Services Committee did not meet in December, so I don't have a report in relation to activities from the committee. There are a series of reports that are attached and have been circulated prior for review. I'll go through those quickly, and I see we have Corporal Weatherby with us this evening if there's any questions. Following the reports, Your Worship, I have two resolutions as well. So we'll start with
Welcome.
We'll start with traffic occurrences. They responded to 10 motor vehicle collisions with 4 reportable damage. Members responded to 180 traffic-related offenses, and of those, the 53 were the Selective Traffic Enforcement Program, STEP. There's a series of issues in relation to provincial statutes, as well as issues related to criminal code, crimes against property, and other police activities referred to as common police activities, a series of events there, files that were covered by the RCMP, including a check stop with Mothers Against Drunk Driving and other partners on December 7th, and 7 STEP files in the school zone of Glen Stewart. During December. If there's any questions in relation to the report, or perhaps Corporal Weatherby wants to make some comments and highlight something that I didn't, but if there's any questions, we can certainly address them. Is there anything you wish to add, Corporal Weatherby?
I guess we're missing the graph there. We don't have the graph there. It's just a report, Councillor.
Thanks, Councillor Dallin. I guess the only thing to highlight there, just for December 2024 here, that we had 335 total occurrence. Like you said, around 60% are traffic related. And we had 34 summary offense tickets, 71 warning violations through the month. really to highlight there is, you know, we are continuing to try the, dealing with the selective, traffic enforcement, program files. Some of those type of, files that we do, sometimes it doesn't result in a violation or even a warning, just, you know, if we spend an hour out there, it's, no violations are observed, so, but it's just showing that we're out there anyway, and continue to concentrate on that. One thing of note, just I wanted to speak to is, for the, I guess for the total year of 2024, Stratford had 3,359 occurrences compared to in 2023 where there was 2,295. It's somewhat of a, probably nearly a 46% jump from 2023 to 2024. So obviously things are still progressing and getting busier within the town, and we're continuing to focus on the traffic-related issues and impaireds and check stops and anything we do for road safety. And we still have a lot of assistance as well from the provincial traffic section, and the members in Stratford have been really prioritizing their time when it comes to the school zones during the daytime and whatnot. So I think that's about all I have to add.
And that's good to see, because, you know, a lot of the issues that residents bring up are in relation to traffic offences. So it's good to see the selective enforcement taking place. And also note, there was 10 impaired drivers?
Yes, there was, Councillor Dowling. 10 impaired investigations. Not all of them led to charges.
Okay.
Some came in ultimately were insufficient evidence to proceed.
Still way too high, and I know, you know, you can only do what you can do from an enforcement perspective, but it's I don't know if it's a cultural thing in PEI or a stupidity thing, but there's still a lot of people that are driving impaired across PEI.
That's right.
Corporal Weatherby, in regards to the comparison you made to last year and the total, was it total occurrences? So that's everything, traffic and like every call? Is that right?
Yes, that includes everything, all occurrences.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then is the increase in traffic occurrences proportionate? Or there's more attention to traffic over the last year than there was in the previous year? Does that make sense, what I'm asking? Did traffic still make up?
We were still out there and trying to pursue it as much as we can. I guess with traffic, you know, a lot of times, you know, if there's, say, two RCMP members working on a shift, it really all depends on other calls that come in as well. That could have a reflection on that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So on some shifts, if we're busy with, say, 3 or 4 different files, say mental health
Yep.
calls, some shifts we can't get any traffic done.
Right.
When it's just, say, two RCMP members there. So,
Yes.
So but the traffic definitely, you know, we're definitely continuing to put that priority on that, on times when we're not responding to calls. So.
Thanks.
Anybody else? I just had a couple of things. First of all, I guess as our Deputy Mayor Gallant mentioned, we just seem to have one, there seem to be a couple of things missing from this month's report, our CMP report. Usually we get a graph and a couple of other things. So all we got was the Stratford Mayor's report this time. So I guess it's kind of difficult to, pardon?
Your Worship, I noticed that as well 2 days ago. And yesterday I called our detachment assistant. It just came in. Greg McCormick had sent it over Friday, and then he sent it out. I believe he sent it forwarded. He told me he forwarded it yesterday.
Oh, okay.
At some point yesterday or yesterday afternoon.
Didn't get in the package, that's all. That's
Oh,
okay.
Okay, Your Worship.
Okay. Second thing is, I was just wondering, I got an email from somebody that was mentioning people are not stopping for school buses, for the red flashing lights for school buses. Have you noticed an increase, or have you noticed a lot of complaints about that?
I haven't personally noticed any in December. There may have been one that happened, but through my reviews, I haven't noticed any being reported to us.
So bus drivers aren't calling them into you or anything like that, the school bus drivers?
Anytime it happens with a school bus, they do have to go through the school board, and the school board then would send, if they don't, sometimes they wouldn't call us directly, they would go through the school board, and then the school board would send a report to us, and then we would create the file on that.
Okay.
But I haven't noticed any really that's standing out here in December.
Yeah, okay, that's, maybe it's something we can follow up on later, but there seems to be, at least by one driver, that there's more of it, that's all. Yeah, that's all I had, but I appreciate all the work you're doing. I especially appreciate all the work you're doing with the youth and with, you know, the newcomers and the older part of our community, the Mayflower Seniors Club and that sort of thing. That's really helpful, I think, to have that visibility and that presence in the community to show the show the flag to those people and make sure that they understand that, you know, you're there to protect them, and it's a really positive, especially for the newcomers, that it's police are their friends. They're not there to threaten them or anything.
Yeah.
So
Thank
it's
you,
great.
Your Worship.
Thank you.
And just one more to add. Sergeant Travis Gallant has started for the Queens District now. He's Staff Sergeant Doyle. He's directly under Staff Sergeant Doyle. So Sergeant Travis Gallant just came down from Prince County. So he's officially started just this Monday. Was his first day in Queens District. And our other member for Stratford also started last week, Constable Brandon McGinnis. So he's fully in the chair here over in Stratford as well now on a full-time basis.
Do you know do you have all the members' names, Corporal?
Yes,
Would you know them all right offhand? We have.
I should. Constable Al McGrath,
Yeah,
Constable Darren Doucette,
yeah.
Constable Anthony McDonald, Constable Anthony Dowling,
Yep.
Constable Dave No, Constable Brandon McGinnis,
Okay,
and then myself. I think that's 8. I don't think I'm missing anyone.
that's great. No, thank you.
That's great.
So it's kind of official where he's in that spot
Yeah.
now, so,
There's a lot of movement in the RCP lately, so I was just wondering
yeah.
who's over here and who's not, right? So, yeah, that's great.
And again, I just want to thank you for everything you do, keeping our community
Thank you, Your
safe. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Corporal Weatherby. Next item, Your Worship, is the Humane Society report that's in the package. I guess of note is the year-to-date is April to March of 2025, and to date we have 284 occurrences, including 169 community patrols. So I'm not sure what the average per month patrol-wise is, but they do patrol through the community periodically. Are there any questions in relation to the Humane Society report? The fire company calls are also there. If there's any questions in relation to the fire company calls, I know it's not included in this report, but the recent fire at the apartment was very well managed by the department, and also the response by the town itself was top-notch in relation to temporary accommodations and helping find accommodations for misplaced or displaced individuals. And so we're very fortunate to have a committed fire force and the committed staff that we have to work on behalf of our citizens. Is there any questions in relation to the fire company report?
Just so I understand, with respect to the fire there at St. John's, so I understand all the residents are back in and things are carrying on just fine?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
Yeah.
Just one comment, Your Worship, echo what Councillor Dowling said. I wasn't sure what was going on the morning I was driving my father-in-law to the hospital around 6 a.m. for an appointment or a scope, and saw that the emergency services center was full with all the lights on. And I had no idea what was going on, then found out later on. But I heard, staff, Jeremy and a number of others, just Jeremy, kudos to them for working quickly and diligently on a kind of a dirty morning to get all that straightened away. So thank you to everybody who took part in that.
Yeah, and I'd like to add my thanks as well, because it's, I think Jeremy Crosby was called at like 3 o'clock in the morning or something like that, and he was over here and made arrangements to get the people into the emergency services building, and, you know, so they were looked after, and it went quite smoothly, thanks to everybody working together, and the fire company in the town, and everybody involved, EMS, so thank you.
And that's a testament to the town's emergency preparedness as well, Your Worship. And I know there's a lot of work done on that by staff over the last year or two to increase that capability even more than it was, with additional resources for accommodating people for short-term and warming shelters, et cetera, generators and whatnot. So, yeah. We're positioned fairly well in that regard. No further questions, then, Your Worship. We'll move into one of the first of two resolutions. The Town of Stratford Resolution Number SS 001-2025, Unsightly Premises Cleanup, stemming from Safety Services Committee, moved by myself. Whereas the property at 11 Barclay Avenue has been repeatedly in violation of the Town of Stratford's Dangerous and Unsightly Premises Bylaw Number 22 since 2022 or longer, with notices of violations issued in 2022, 2023, and 2024. And whereas on November 4th, 2024, a summary offense ticket in the amount of $500 was issued by the town's bylaw enforcement officer and was unanswered by the deadline of December 4th, 2024, deeming the property owner guilty of the offense. And whereas a notice was delivered to the property on December 11th, 2024, to inform the property owner that the property remains in violation of the bylaw, they are now subject to the additional $1,000 penalty prescribed in Section 5, Sub B, Sub V of the Town of Stratford Summary Offense Proceedings Bylaw Number 49, and that a resolution will be brought to the January Council meeting recommending that the town arrange for cleaning of the property, and that a lien be placed on the property until such time as the cost incurred is recovered in accordance with Section 10B of the town's Dangerous and Unsightly Premises Bylaw Number 22. Be it resolved that the town will enter onto the property at 11 Barclay Avenue to correct the above noted deficiency, and the cost incurred by the town shall, including penalty fees, become a lien on the property until payment is made. This resolution bears a recommendation of the Safety Services Committee at a meeting held on November 18th, 2024.
Do you have a seconder? I'll second. Thank you. Okay, discussion. Any comments or?
So I'm just wondering, maybe this best question named at our CAO, you know, when you read the tenor of the resolution, the sense I get is we haven't had any, this property owner or resident has really been overly responsive with the town to date. I'm wondering, has there been contact made with them to explain what might be happening here today, or?
I believe there was a notice issued to them for sure, and they were asked to appear in court, and I don't believe they did that either. So we probably send out another notice indicating that we're coming on the property, but once the resolution is approved tonight, we will have permission to go on the property. We'll likely hire a contractor to do that work. We've done this in the past with unsightly premises with regard to grass and some other items where we did hire a contractor. But in addition, we also alert the RCMP in case there is any issues with us going on the property prior to getting there. But I think they're well aware that this has come to a head, but I'll double check on that for sure.
Okay. I just might ask, should this resolution pass, that a copy of the resolution also go with that notice?
Absolutely.
Just so they understand that this is not it's not a staff decision, but it's a decision of council.
No problem. Yep.
Okay.
I got just a quick question, and maybe Dale can answer part of this too. Like, I'm assuming this guy owns the property. He's not just a tenant, like he owns his property. So, so you put a lien against the property, but if he doesn't plan on ever selling the property or whatever, like, or looking for more money, like if he looks for a loan from a bank or something, obviously he'd be turned down because there's a lien against the property. But if he doesn't look for a loan or anything, like the lien is there, but it really doesn't affect him as much. Am I wrong about that, or is that?
Well, the lien will always be against the
Yes.
property, you know, at some point, whether he sells it or a family or.
Family or
what
something
have
down
you,
the road?
We'll get our money
Yeah.
back, so it'll go on the
Right.
account like that it's an
Yeah.
outstanding lien on the property, so it'll show in our statements like that, but,
Right.
you know, if this continues on, there may be some
Yeah.
other avenues that we have,
Well, could
maybe
this-
additional
could-
charges that we may have to look
Could
at.
this go to civil court kind of thing eventually,
It's gone to
maybe?
court already.
Was that
with a
civil?
charge, no,
No.
no.
But you may go to civil if it does. But there is people like, the sheriff uses people like Fred, I can't remember his last name, that goes and presents, you know, like, it just seems to me it's kind of a dangerous thing to send somebody from our staff to the property. Who knows if the person has you know, some other plans that could be, you know, harmful to somebody coming up on the property. I just worry about these kind of things, because we're not getting any correspondence back from this person. You don't really know what they're thinking, so.
Yeah, again, we're likely going to get a contractor to do the work. That doesn't mean that we're not worried that a contractor couldn't get into trouble on the property.
Right.
But we always notify the RCMP before we go on there.
Yeah.
They may even attend while we're doing the cleanup, or at least be there at the first part of it, make sure there are no issues, but we'll take precautions for sure.
Yeah.
You never know this day and age, for sure.
Yeah, especially in this day and age, I'm just a little worried about that part, so, no, I appreciate the information.
Yep, no problem.
Yeah, I think, Councillor, that like we talked earlier, we're looking, will come budget time, looking at maybe position of a bylaw officer, look after the problems like this and correspond with the short-term rental and all the other bylaws that the town proposes. So it's one of, this is the first, I believe this is the first, Jeremy, for resolution beyond property. Is this the first resolution regards to cleaning up?
This year?
Yeah,
This would be the first this year. We have
we've done it before?
We've done it before, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
there's been a few cases in the past. I've been involved with them, actually,
Yeah.
and, well, I think a couple of them were with regard to grass that hadn't been cut, and we had to get a contractor in to cut the grass, and I think one of them might have been unsightly, or there was damage to the building that could be a risk to the public. We don't do these things quickly or lightly. There was a lot of back and forth with these individuals, and I know there was contact made with them from time to time, but they refused to comply with anything that we sent. So we have to follow up with it.
Yep.
It's a last resort.
Fred McGinnis, that was the guy's name, that he has a private company, and he goes out and presents documents to people, you know, but,
Like a process server?
what's that?
You mean like a process server?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, anyway, it just kind of worries me in this day, and we've
Oh,
been
it's
hearing
great, yeah.
a lot of stories, and sometimes when things fester, you know, they can get, things can get out of control a little bit, so you just always want everybody to be safe, including the person that, you know, that the lien is against. You want everybody to be safe in this situation. Hopefully it gets resolved. So thanks for the information.
No, we plan to take precautions before
Yeah.
we have anybody go on the property.
It's unfortunate that circumstances like this do arise, and, you know, there could be a multitude of reasons for it ultimately, but, you know, staff does take a cautious approach and a judicious approach in relation to this type of action, and, you know, people are given plenty of opportunities to resolve the issue, and ultimately we live in a community that offers the right for other residents to have reasonable enjoyment of their own properties, and sometimes, unfortunately, this type of measure has to be taken, and, you know, it's been taken here before, it's been taken in pretty much every municipality across the island at different times, and
And like coming the new year, come budget time, like we talked about the last meeting, Steve, I'm looking at maybe having a bylaw officer as a peace officer and working with the RCMP and sort of correspond with the RCMP on pros, their file, and then, so the same model Charlottetown has, but not as you know, Charlottetown's model is a great model. They have a bylaw officer there working with the police. They know when they go on that property, they have information, and we're all prepared before they do anything. So that's what, in the new year, that's what I'd like to see, a bylaw officer hired for the town of Stratford, if it's even 50% or or so on, and, but that's something we probably bring up safety services meeting, discuss then, right, Steve?
Yeah, we'll discuss it as part of the budget process and
Yeah,
as
the
part of
budget process.
part of safety services.
Yeah.
CAO Crosby?
I can tell you that at the staff level, we've been having some discussions with regard to that, because I know you've brought it up a couple of times. Can't really get into the specifics right now, but there is a staff member that may be looking to reduce their hours and looking at, you know, possible retirement in the next few years, and would like to try something a position that's a little lower level than what they have now. So we're going to start some discussions with that individual now. They have been involved with these files in the past. It may be a real good fit to have some transition with, you know, a new person coming on that could learn all the information from this person, but they'd also like to be involved with these type of files still. So it's something that we're looking at. I'm not saying that definitely will happen, but we are considering it during our budget deliberations now, so.
Okay, thank you for that. I think that's been a good discussion. I think we're back to the resolution. It is a standard procedure. It is the only remedy that's available to the town, and I know there are a lot of corollary issues that we need to discuss, but I guess in terms of the resolution, we need to approve or not approve this resolution based on its merits and on the fact that it's a standard procedure and it's done in other municipalities. But I do note all the points that have been made that are very important that we keep in mind, and it is a consideration, this type of situation, when we're considering things like budget for bylaw officer, bylaw enforcement, et cetera. So with that, unless there's any other comments, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried. Okay, you have another resolution,
Thank you,
Councillor?
Worship. Next resolution is SS 002-2025, appointment of directors to the Crossroads Rural Community Fire Company, stemming from the Safety Services Committee, moved by myself. Whereas the town of Stratford has a right and responsibility to appoint 7 members to the Board of Directors of the Crossroads Rural Community Fire Company. Yes. And whereas it is desirable to have new persons appointed each year to represent the town on the fire company board, be it resolved that the following persons be appointed to serve on the Board of Directors of the Crossroads Rural Community Fire Company for the year 2025. Town Council Representative, Councillor Ron Dowling. Community Representatives, Carol Ann Duffy, Lee Jenkins, Rick Richard, Bernadette Milner, Gregory Anthony, and Dave Swan.
So, do I have a seconder for that motion? I'll second. I think I saw Mr. Councillor Cox first, so, yeah. Okay, any discussion about this resolution?
There's new people on this, I guess, Councillor Dowling?
Yeah, we actually had a meeting last night, so
Yeah.
we got to meet the board overall, including the new people. It's a very dedicated bunch and very diverse, and so I'm looking forward to meeting with them each month throughout the year.
It's a very important committee. It does, they provide the direction to the fire company with regard to, how funding and budget and strategy or policy and that sort of thing. So it is an important committee. There's a lot of work to be done in this committee. Obviously with costs escalating the way they are and the need for new equipment like ladder truck, et cetera, we really appreciate the work that this committee does and your work too, Councillor Dowling, for pulling this together. So we look forward to having, good town representation on the fire company from the town with these people. So with that, is there any other comments or questions before we call the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried.
That concludes my report for this month, Your Worship.
Thank you for your report, Councillor. All right, Recreation, Culture, and Events. I'll call on the new chair of that committee, Councillor Gordy Cox, to give his report.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, thank you, Jill, for all your hard work on this this portfolio, and I got big shoes to fill. I'm not saying you have big feet, but I'm just saying big shoes to fill. But thanks, Jill. The following is an overview of the projects and items that are being worked on with the Recreation, Culture, and Events Department. Recreation, Culture, and Events. There was no committee meeting in December. The first meeting for the new committee will be held on January 23rd. Stratford Youth Center and Council. The Youth Center Annual Awards Banquet was held on December 22nd. Mayor Steve Ogden intended to help present our top youth center volunteers for 2024. 106 youth members contributed 5,128 volunteer hours in our community. There are currently 77 active members participating in the youth center program. Membership registrations tend to increase in the month of January. The youth center reopened for the season on January 6th. Drop-in sessions are Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Additional programs at the youth center over the winter include youth council, art club, drama club, leadership, just to name a few. In addition, there are different activities each week in the activities room. The youth center is contributing to other different birthday packages over the winter. High school age youth members work as party supervisors during birthday rentals. Events. Stratford's first March of the Elves took place at Andrews of Stratford in early December. A big thank you to Glenstone primary music teachers Lisa McDonald and Elizabeth McLean for their time, talents, and helping in the organization of this holiday event. The town would also like to thank the staff of Andrews of Stratford for facilitating and coordinating this event for their residents. From all accounts, the children in the choir and Andrews of Stratford residents enjoyed the event immensely. As well, a special thank you to Santa Claus for making a very special surprise appearance. The town of Stratford hosted its annual New Year's Day levy at the Stratford Town Center on January 1st. There were a great number of guests from the 12 to 1:30 day event. Guests were greeted and shared best wishes with the mayor and with the council. Red and white wine, along with a variety of snacks and treats, were well appreciated by approximately 600 or more guests. Winterfest planning is well underway. The annual Winter Festival is scheduled for Saturday, February 8th and Sunday, February 9th from 1 to 5. The winter programs registration opened December 1st. Arts and recreation programs are using various town spaces to meet the needs of residents. Arts and culture programs, there are 5 programs with 49 registered. Pickleball, I actually talked to Rachel about this a couple of days ago. There's 184 registered for 5 sessions, and it is totally packed. Minor basketball is also one of the programs. Tennis, badminton, cadets, fitness classes, and baseball. So there's lots of programs there. Gymnasium, 95 users a day during the month of December, which is a pretty significant number. January has seen its predictable increase in users, with many starting on New Year's resolutions, which I haven't done. Outdoor rinks, the Bunbury and Pondside rinks are working through the fluctuating weather conditions. These facilities are very much dependent on cold weather. Unfortunately, we had some early excited users, which caused some initial difficulties. But it will be great to see residents using the free ice services, which, by the way, are all opened right now. Weather conditions continue to be the issue, but infrastructure staff are working on the rinks daily. The rink on Moore's Pond, which is kind of the unofficial 4th rink, is not open yet due to the ice services aren't ideal yet, and it's a brand new area, obviously, and a lot deeper than it used to be. So I know the person personally that helps manage that, and he's a little worried that people could get hurt there. So anyway, that's the report. Thanks to Jeremy Pierce for his hard work in typing all this up. So any questions or comments anyone might have?
I believe are the rinks closed now? They're not open? Bunbury's open?
Yeah, they're all open.
Okay.
That's my question.
Just to have, yeah. Just
Maybe I should have stated that in my report. No, I did.
It happened today? Yeah, because I know, yeah. No. It was great. I just to compliment Jeremy on the great work with Bunbury with the bladder this year, holding the water, and Gordy and Jill. So, and down at Bunbury Rink, we have the bladder there, which is holding the water. And just last year, we didn't have it. We just didn't have it in place. So it's, I know the residents are talking about it. So it's great compliments working Jeremy and infrastructure, our staff there, Joe and her.
Yeah, always great to see kids outside, especially on outdoor rinks and obviously anyone on those rinks, but especially to have our youth spending some time away from gaming and other things that a lot of youth seem to do these days. So, you know, and I think that's something we promote is, you know, healthy living and healthy lifestyles and also health activities here in Stratford. And it's nice to see everyone from age 99 down to 1 can participate in something that we can present here. And so we have a very active recreation, arts, and culture stream here, and I think that'll continue. So looks good.
And also, this is the first year for Clearview. Last budget, we passed that budget for the multipurpose facility in Clearview, so they're using that facility up in Clearview, which is great.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments?
Councillor Cox, just once again commend staff of the youth centre for the tremendous work they do. When you see the figure over 5,000 volunteer hours, you can imagine the character building that's going on amongst the youth who are going to be our future citizens, our future leaders, our future volunteers in the community. So Stratford's very blessed to have this club and the earnest participants that are all very active in the club.
Oh, absolutely. And I think we're one of the leaders in that area on Prince Edward Island. Like there is clubs in other communities, obviously, but we have a very, very active, you know, committee in our organization with our students. And like I said, January, we seem to have even more sign-ups. So we're looking forward to having some new youth join our organization. So that'd be great.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Your Worship, just one clarification, Deputy Mayor, the Clearview's not, it's open, just not being used for winter activity, yeah, but we are proud that it is open, yeah. And welcome back to Councillor Cox. Saw a lot of pictures on Facebook over the Christmas holidays, really jealous, and almost felt the urge to donate to PBS with some of his pictures and videos and things that he had.
I'm still suffering some 5 or 6 hour difference jet lag there, obviously by my tardiness getting here this evening, which I once again apologize for. But one thing I will say, when I was away, I took notice of from rinks to ski hills to et cetera, and the way things are run and how smooth everything is. And I know it's a teeny bit off topic, but especially on the roads where you don't see any police presence anywhere on the highways. It's all done with photo cameras. And the cars, I think it goes back to 2015. The cars, it'll beep if you're over the speed limit, and it'll beep faster, so you know that you have to come down. So if it's 50 kilometers, you have between 45 and 53 to stay in that area. And if it starts beeping, then there's cameras around that will record that you were warned and you ignored it, and your ticket will come in the mail within 2 weeks. So my daughter's fiance, 2 members of his hockey team first week didn't understand what that was all about, and they got a €900 ticket 2 weeks later. So when you're on the roads, you get to see people actually slowing right down, and you're wondering, and some roads that would be 80 here easily were 50, and everybody's doing 50, but I did get out on the Autobahn for a bit, and that was insane. So it was not 50. So, but anyway, overall, I mean, we're heading that way as far as maybe having cameras and issuing tickets and et cetera. That's a wave of the future that I think is a lot of European countries have, and I think Canada and Prince Edward Island, we will have those things in place. But the accidents over there, you never on the road see. I never saw one accident. Nobody on the side of the road with banged up cars or anything. Like it's a pretty well-oiled machine the way they do things as far as making sure you do go the speed limits. So anyway, just thought I could make that comment.
Just one thing, I'm not sure if it's recreation or not, but I do know that Stratfords of the World meeting has taken place in New Zealand this week. We've got a couple of representatives from Stratford that are there right now. Debbie Reed, Vi Murley, and I believe at least 1 or 2 others that are down there representing our town. So the one person, Debbie Reed, has been putting a lot of pictures and stuff
Yeah.
on Facebook, and it's so beautiful because it's the middle of summer down there. It's like our July.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a great thing. I think we're hosting in 2 years or 2 years, yeah, so we'll be
That'll be
hosting.
nice. The
we'll be
Stratfords of the
hosting it
world.
here, yeah. I believe there are 5 or 6 Stratfords of the world that are,
Yeah.
that have send representatives every year to,
Come
or
together.
is it every year or every 4 years or something like that?
I don't think it's every year.
No, it's every 4 years maybe, yeah, to do it to a different Stratford. So anyway, that's a pretty, it's important to make those connections, I guess. We do have almost like sister cities, that
Yeah.
we do have a relationship with them. Anything else on your report, Counselor, that you'd like to, no? Any other comments or questions on Counselor's report? No?
Just on recreation facilities, I guess, Steve, moving forward at the wellness center and so on, I guess we're in the process of negotiating that for our rinks or so on. Like, I know our population growth, we always talked about it in our last term council. I know Jill and Darren talked about a lot, but the hockey restoration and providing facilities for amenities for our residents. So we're looking for a good year this year, and hopefully the shovels in the ground. So we're just negotiating with both the federal and the provincial government at this moment, right?
Yeah, I think we're all united on that. I think
Yeah.
everybody wants to see that move ahead as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, if there's no other comments or questions, we'll move on to finance and technology. I'll ask the chair of that committee, Councillor Jody Jackson, to give his report.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to start off, so we meet tomorrow. Our first meeting with the new Finance Committee is tomorrow at lunchtime, so looking forward to that. Looking forward with Director O'Connell to working with her going forward. I do want to thank Councillor Dowling for 2 great years of service in the role of Chair of Finance, and no doubt left it in a good position for me, so I'm very grateful for that. So I am. So just, in the absence of a report from the meeting, I do have a report from Director O'Connell, so I'll talk about some of the items being worked on in the Finance Department. So utility bills are being processed, and e-bills have been issued, and paper bills were sent yesterday for processing. The due date on those is February 18th. Currently working with Provincial Credit Union, Town Suite, and staff to set up an electronic payment system for payables. So that's a great enhancement that we're looking forward to. Director attended a virtual presentation on new corporate credit card application, and as mentioned earlier, staff have been busy cleaning out office spaces. Some new staff members have moved to new offices, and it's good every once in a while to have a little bit of a change of scenery for folks, and nice to see they were able to do all that within kind of the current envelope that we have here. Director attended a meeting with CAO, Director of Infrastructure in the City of Charlottetown on the wastewater treatment agreement. So if there's any updates on that, I know we'll be discussing tomorrow, I think, at our meeting, and we'll bring an update to next meeting on that. The department's working on the forecast to year end and budgets for 2025-26. And I'll let Kim just jump in here at any point. So you've seen, Your Worship and Councillors, some dates that have been set in February for budget meetings, so I'm hoping everyone can attend those. I booked my time off already, and I'm looking forward to that. Just to finish up, Director met with Infrastructure and Recreation staff to discuss staffing needs for 2025-26, and continue to be busy with the day-to-day items that are ongoing in the Finance Department. Kim, any questions? I have the income statements and for the town, the utilities in there, but is there any questions on the finance? Given that I haven't been at a meeting yet, but I will attempt to answer with Kim any questions you have.
You're putting your new Master's of Business Administration degree to work.
Yeah, actually, Your Worship, I do appreciate the opportunity to take on another role. It is very timely with my work with school and even my other work, so I do appreciate that. And it's definitely a test, and as Deputy Mayor said, and everyone around the table, to try to get some shovels in the ground and get things moving this year will be a nice. We get a big push there, so I'm looking forward to a busy year. Anything for Kim? Anything you want to highlight, Kim?
No, I'm just up here if there was any questions.
No, I guess the only thing I would mention is that we are entering a budget cycle, and we've asked for input to the budget from residents. I'm not sure if we've received any input to date.
Yeah, we have received some budget requests. We received probably about 10.
Okay.
So I do have that on the agenda for tomorrow's Finance Committee meeting.
Okay. Well, I look forward to seeing that. I know it's always a tough sledding to get, the work done that needs to get done with the limited resources we have, but we'll be going at that pretty soon. And it's good to have the input from the residents, what their priorities are. And we do have the resident survey and all the things that we've had to put off because we didn't have resources for them before. So there's lots of things to do, and we just got to find a way to get the money to do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Worship. And while we're at that budget request, did get to meet a lovely couple at the levy who were suggesting we put a basketball net in Kinloch Creek in one of the spots there. So I know I said I would bring it forward, and we'll definitely be talking about that hopefully tomorrow and going forward. So yeah, even on levy day, we were getting budget ideas. So I do appreciate that and look forward to the engagement with our residents. Thank you.
Yeah, that's one of the beauties of the levy is that you get the opportunity to have conversations like that. Okay, any other comments or questions on the financial report? If not, thank you very much, Councillor. Okay, we'll now move to Planning, Development, and Heritage. Chair of that committee is Councillor Jeff McDonald. I'll ask him to give his report.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. So we did have the occasion to meet on January the 6th, last Monday. It was a great opportunity to meet some of the new members of our planning committee. Certainly, we'll dearly miss those who have moved on to other roles within the town. We had a wonderful working group, although I'm very excited to see how the new group works together. Can already say that we have a very impressive roster there, some with very direct and very germane planning experience, and we'll certainly look to rely upon that knowledge that we have at committee going forward as we apply that knowledge, I guess, to the issues that the town faces. And certainly I expect it'll be no different over this term as it was last, that there are certainly some easy decisions, but some much more difficult ones. And I think we're in good stead with our planning staff as well as our committee, as well as our council here. It's been a very interesting experience being on planning. And it's been an interesting experience, I hope my fellow councilors would agree, to learn more about that world, to immerse ourselves in it, and to really get a sense of the issues of the town. And certainly there's a lot of benefit to having continuity and having that corporate knowledge, especially amongst our staff, and we certainly rely upon that. And we're always well served by our planning staff. So though we did have a meeting, it was more of an introductory one. We did have minutes circulated, and we had the building permit summary for all of 2024. Certainly it was a banner year for planning, or for, I guess, development value within the town, led, of course, by some of the institutional projects which are being undertaken by our provincial partners. Very exciting to see. It would be surprising, I'd say, if we had that type of value again, though certainly we're not a public corporation, aren't necessarily looking for growth year over year. Any additional development added to the town is of a permanent, or rather permanent nature, so any growth is good growth, of course. We're always looking to, and it's always pleasing, I think, to see when you look at the development value of our permitting system, the mix of development that's occurring within the town, which suggests a vibrancy that exists in this town. And it's really something that stuck with me. Councillor Jackson had said during one of our sessions in 2024 is that when businesses do choose to come to Stratford, it's a very rare day when we see a business failure. And it was very, I think it was very astute of him to notice that, and I think he's right. And so as our CAO noted in his report with respect to the interest in the business park, that will more likely than not, and hopefully continue, sign of great things to come. We are building great things here in Stratford, though of course, we need partners to do that, and the more we grow the town, the more we'll be able to service the needs of the residents now and today. So planning is here, of course. We're here to help the town. We're here to, as a committee, here to assist council with its work, and I can assure you all that the new committee is very excited to do just that. No resolutions, thankfully, for you tonight, because they certainly can take some time, though I do expect in the very near future you'll get back to your regularly scheduled programming of having to listen to me drone on. That being said, as I did note, we do have a public meeting scheduled for January the 29th. Certainly, it's always an encouraging sign when we have as many councillors as we can have present there to lend support, I think, to the residents who do come out of their own busy lives to speak to the matters that are before us. So certainly look forward to seeing everybody there, and look forward to another great 2 years in planning. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, I think that you're absolutely bang on. That it was a banner year. There's, I don't know what the percentage is, but it's quite a big jump in terms of the value of development in Stratford over the past year compared to the year before. So it is significant. It is a tribute to staff and to council that this development's taken place. We're hopefully creating an environment where it's positive for development and development that really takes into account the quality of life of current residents and protects their peace and enjoyment of their properties as well as much as possible, but also making room for new residents. There's obviously a housing crisis, and we need to have more housing in our town. So it's really important that we put a lot of emphasis on new development, balanced development that is really balancing the current positive living environment that we have with new development. Okay, thank you for your report, Councillor.
Your Worship, may I ask just one question, kind of a random one? We talked a little earlier about the business park and the interest in the lots and in the current and the new part. Has there been any change to the rules around signage? You know, as we had a rule a long time ago that there was no lit signs or had to be a certain size, but is that something that has been looked at or will be looked at when we kind of expand onto the kind of the campus property and things like that? I see some lighting that, and you know, is that something we can consider now?
See what's in the business park? Yeah.
I believe it would be part of the redoing of the zoning and development bylaw, the review, would it not?
Just looking for clarification. I think at one time we did acquire some land out near the Trans-Canada Highway for additional signage for the business park. I think we're still pursuing that, but there is a signage bylaw, and there is in our bylaw 45, zoning development bylaw, with regard to signage, whether it's pylon signs or what have you. So I think they can be lit.
Yeah, and thank you, Jeremy.
Yeah.
That was a question I know when I was on council last time about the folks asking about lit signs. I think there is one in there now for sure, in the one of the large building that is lit. It looks good. So I'm just hoping that as we kind of evolve in there, that we can consider that. I think with the growth around there, it's not. I don't think the lit signs are offensive to anyone. So I'm hoping we can look into that more.
I think the other thing is once the health and wellness facility is built in there, we'll want to have signage directing people in there and what events are going on and such. So I think stay tuned. We'll be looking at additional signage for that area.
Be something like a sign, Jeremy, like Kinloch Creek, that sign here that's on the camp that you're talking about?
No, more just. This was what I was talking about first. Was really individual, like signage on their other properties, their buildings. But to what Jeremy's saying, similar to what they might have at Credit Union Place in different places, saying, well, here's what we have on. Yeah, I'd just like to see us kind of evolve into the modern era with that. I know when we started the business park, I think there was a push to not have kind of large lit signs, but I think now with the size of Stratford, maybe Dale can answer that, but I'm just hoping we will consider that.
When we start the engagement process with Upland, it's a good opportunity for all the councillors and board members to attend those meetings and specify any concerns they may have or wishes they see necessary going forward. But every aspect of the official plan and bylaw we currently have will be reviewed by Upland and give us a chance to respond to it. And even if we look at something that may be proposed in the community campus for signage, if it's different than what's in the bylaw now, or we anticipate it being different, good time to bring it forward this time. Okay?
Yeah. Thank you.
Is there, Dale, is there timeline on the official bylaw, Stratford official bylaw?
Later this year, I would think, Councillor.
Official plan,
Yeah.
later this year?
It's not definitive deadline, but it will be probably in the early fall, middle fall, something like that.
Yeah, thank you.
It's already underway. There's, I've been interviewed, and I think a number of people have been interviewed, so there will be more opportunity for input, too. There'll be public meetings, and there'll be lots of opportunity for residents and council to weigh in and get their wishes. Okay. Yeah, thank you very much for your report, Councillor. We'll now move on to infrastructure. Deputy Mayor Gallant chairs that committee. I'll ask him to give his report now.
Yeah, we didn't meet last month, but Happy New Year, everyone, and especially the residents of town of Stratford and the residents of Ward 3, Stratford T Hill. I know me and my co-partner here. Happy New Year. So let's start off. Several infrastructure projects are under design, progressing well and on a track for tendering before spring, such as the Glen Stewart Drive multi-use paved trail and Aptos sewer lift station decommissioning. Design for the Reeves Estate water distribution replacement will be complete, and a tender-ready package is submitted by the end of January. Funding needs to be secured before this project can proceed to construction, and staff remains involved with review and coordination with the consultants to keep these design projects on schedule. As people are aware of our newsletter, and especially with the article in The Guardian, the sump pump redirection rebate program continues to be successful, with 25 properties registered for the program to date. There is still funding available, so we encourage all who have a sump pump connected to the sewer system to contact the town for more information on the program. Infrastructure staff and busy with the following: maintaining Christmas displays, installation of rink liners and flooding of rinks, winter maintenance and grooming of trails, snow clearing and salting of walkways and parking lots, renovating, painting and moving office spaces at Town Hall, gravity sewer flushing and lift stations cleaning will continue when weather allows. Approximately 85% of the system has been completed this year. Water and sewer inspections, meter installations, and water turn-ons for the development are ongoing. Deficiency tours of new development projects, complete fourth quarter water meter reads for billing purposes, ongoing inspection and maintenance of water and sewer systems and facilities, and managing ongoing customer and resident inquiries and concerns. And during the month of December, there were no sewer or water emergencies. That is my report there for January 2025.
Thank you. Any comments
Any
or questions?
No. I was just wondering, Jeremy, Pierce, can you explain to the audience about the community campus itself and where we're at? Just a little update, sort of like an information session there for the new year, with our fundraising and so on.
Oh, jeepers. Did you feel that? It's like,
Thank you very much.
no problem. Yeah, I think it's been kind of touched on earlier as to where we're at. We know the town's support for the project and has made or is willing to make a financial contribution to that as well. The province has indicated they'd be willing to match the town's contribution, which is fantastic. We've been in extensive discussions with Minister McCauley over the past 6 months or so and submitted a $25 million application through the Green Inclusive Buildings Fund in late November. Our understanding is that that program is being reviewed right now. We know that there was a little over $2 billion worth of applications put in for $550 million in funding. We do know that our fund, our application has been shortlisted pared down to the $1 billion mark. So that is good news that we haven't been eliminated from that fund as of now. We've followed up, CEO Crosby and I have followed up with discussions again with Mr. McCauley, with former Minister of Housing and Infrastructure, Sean Fraser's two assistants. We've had follow-up with them where we learned the information of our federal fund. And then even as late as New Year's Day, which was mentioned here earlier, there was, even though it was a great day, it was an opportunity for us to canvass Minister McCauley and some other individuals about that fund and the importance of the project to the town. In regards to the fundraising campaign, we are still going through a lot of those discussions with residents, with individuals, with corporations. Again, their biggest question is where's the town, the province, and the federal government on this, and many have indicated their support for the project, and we're still working through the financial numbers with those. It is very labor intensive, and I certainly appreciate all the efforts that Ray Murphy and David Dunphy have put into that campaign, because it doesn't come with a lot of free time. We chew it up pretty quickly on throughout the week and on weekends, and exchange text messages in the evenings to try to finalize that. So we have quite an array of meetings lined up. We've been welcomely invited to the Chinese New Year Festival on January 26th in Charlottetown, where we'll be there from 1:30 to 5 o'clock to make a presentation and answer any questions. And so that was an invitation that we received kind of out of the blue. So we're very much appreciative of that. But it does tie into, inclusion. It does tie into new future educational opportunities, which is very important to that demographic and should be important to every demographic. And there's lots of amenities there that are reaching out to different social demographics and ethnic cultural groups that beyond our traditional groups. And then as CEO Crosby mentioned, the project is now well into economic development for us, where we're tied in with the business park, the 6 lots that are on the community campus, but it's also opening new opportunities in the existing business park, which we haven't had. So the demand for us is quite extensive, and where the project started out as an educational and recreational opportunity for our town is now so much more than that. It's economic development, it's sport tourism, it's how do we drive business to our existing local businesses, how do we entice new businesses, it's how do we tie into the new cultural fabric of our community. So we're quite excited about the opportunities, but again, it all ties back to the very first thing we talked about is funding. So once we get that tied down, we're ready to move full steam ahead right after that.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. All right, if there are no other comments or questions on the infrastructure report, we'll move on. Is there no other questions? Okay, we're now going to move to Committee of the Whole, and we do have a couple of resolutions, and they're procedural bylaw resolutions, and we have a new chair of the Intergovernmental Affairs and Accountability Committee, Councillor Jill Chandler, and if she would be so kind as to read those, present those resolutions, I'd appreciate it.
So this is Resolution CW 001-2025, Council Procedural Bylaw Amendment Number 47-C in the second reading. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's advanced by the Committee of the Whole and is being moved by me. Sorry for, I'm looking for clarification on this, where I'm new to this.
That's okay. No,
Okay.
I should have mentioned it to you before, but
That's okay.
I just realized.
That's all right. We're on the fly. Okay, so whereas council has established the council procedural bylaw number 47, to provide for the appointment of residents and stakeholders by council to provide public input to council in its deliberations, and whereas it is desirable to discontinue the active transportation subcommittee and have the work of this committee now be reflected in the infrastructure committee with use of ad hoc and one-time community volunteers as required. And whereas it is desirable to discontinue the Arts and Culture Subcommittee and have the work of this committee now be reflected in the Recreation, Culture, and Events Committee with use of ad hoc and one-time community volunteers as required, be it resolved that the attached bylaw number 47-C, a bylaw to amend the council procedural bylaw number 47, be hereby read and approved a second time.
This resolution
This resolution bears the recommendation of Committee of the Whole based on a meeting held on November 27th, 2024.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Dowling. Okay, any discussion? I think we already,
I just wanted, and I think we're all on the same page about this, but it is just for the record more than anything. It's like, and I know it's the language of the resolution that it's desirable. However, I don't think anyone at this table, in any way, shape, or form is de-emphasizing the importance of the work that that committee did, or that these are issues that are germane to the town, and that there's still a lot of projects that we do expect, at least at a minimum, some ad hoc development on. So I think it's not to say we're de-emphasizing this work. It's not to say that it's desirable that we see less of this work. It's just simply that we're trying to be as respectful as we can of people's time and respectful as we can as people's resources and the town's resources. And we're looking to just best deploy those resources. I think I'm fair in saying that, everybody, but I just.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good way to put it. The major issue, I guess, is the fact that when you have a subcommittee and a committee, there's a filter there that sometimes, you know, the message is going through another level before it comes to council, and sometimes by focusing, the subcommittee focusing on a specific issue, it seems to take it out of the realm of the larger committee, the umbrella committee. So this gives it direct access to council. People will be on those committees that will look after or will, you know, be interested and have expertise and experience in active transportation and in arts and culture to bring those recommendations and messages forward. So
Yeah.
it is important that it go directly, that they have an opportunity to be heard directly rather than through the filter of another committee.
Yeah, and we certainly have that issue, or maybe it's at least a concern sometimes with heritage, so I can appreciate that as it relates to planning, so I appreciate that, but again, just want to emphasize that we are in no way, shape, or fashion looking to reduce that component of our town's portfolio in any way, shape, or form.
That's right. Yeah, you're right.
Can I just add to that? The night of the volunteers that we had at the Safety Center, one of the members of the Arts and Culture Subcommittee that we sit on there was quite concerned about this new, developments, new committee, and they really felt that it was, you know, sort of a not a step going forward, but a step. Not even lateral, but a step going backwards. And this person is an artist in Stratford, and they came from a bigger city, I think it was Calgary or a city out west, where they were on the Arts and Culture Committee, and they met twice a month. And of course, different size, different circumstances. But so I guess the only concern I have, I mean, we will be getting committees together for certain things that pop up, and we'll have committees that will concentrate on certain developments, whatever. But long as we can find people that do actually want to do that, and that we'll have to see how that goes moving forward. But it hasn't been without some disdain. I mean, this hasn't been seamless. There's been some people who felt that this was not the right direction. I'm not speaking personally. I'm just commenting from what I've heard from the people around these subcommittees. So, I mean, but we'll see what happens here, and we'll move forward, and hopefully this is a good thing for the town and for these committees. So maybe, Jill, you want to comment on that a little bit?
Yes, I agree with what's been said, and certainly I had supported this initiative because I feel that it will streamline processes and will become more efficient in advancing, for example, the arts and culture portfolio and some of the initiatives. Last night, for example, an ad hoc group met, and next week we will, or committee of the whole, you'll see an example of public art, you know, mural art that you'll perhaps get a chance. I think we'll see it, that it will make our options and our decisions happen more quickly, and that I support it. So this group was there. A meeting that took 45 minutes instead of 2.5 hours with one topic, and it'll come to you, and we'll get it done.
And I fully support same way. I'm just adding the information that I received, that's all. It
Yeah,
just,
and it is understandable,
yeah.
that perception might be there, but it is, I think, you know, we've had a lot of analysis and a lot of discussion about this, so I think it is probably the best way forward.
I 100% agree with what we're doing going forward. I'm just letting you know what a person came to me, and part of my job is to present sometimes some counter views and let you know what is being said. But I think once people start getting involved, like Jill said, ad hoc committees and different things that pop up, they'll see that this is actually better for all the committees that we have. So.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions before we call the question? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried. Okay, and would you
Do the next one?
mind reading the next one as well?
Sure. The next resolution is CW 002-2025-Council Procedural Bylaw Amendment Number 47-C and adoption. So the committee, it's moved by the Committee of the Whole, moved by myself. And do we ask for the seconder now or at the end?
We'll ask for it at the end.
Okay, thank you. Whereas the attached bylaw number 47-C, a bylaw to amend the council procedural bylaw number 47, was read and approved for first time on December 11th, 2024, and whereas the attached bylaw number 47-C, a bylaw to amend the council procedural bylaw number 47, was read and approved for a second time on January 14th, 2025, be it resolved that the attached bylaw number 47-C, a bylaw to amend the council procedural bylaw number 47, be hereby adopted. This resolution bears the recommendation of Committee of the Whole based on a meeting held on November 27th, 2024.
Do you have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Cox. And any other discussion? I guess we've pretty well discussed this. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried. Thank you, Councillor. Okay, we'll now move on to sustainability, and the new chair of sustainability is Councillor Jill Chandler. I'll ask her to give her a report.
Yes, I'm looking forward to, learning about this portfolio and working with the staff and also the Stratford business community and in hopes of growing this particular, or several of these items. So there was no meeting last month. On the kind of agenda is the launch of the 2025 residential tree planting program, which, as we know, is a very popular program with lots of uptick. Launch of a Think Stratford campaign to support our local business community. We're planning an upcoming meeting with a date yet to be determined to hope to reinvigorate the Stratford Business Group and work together to plan, host upcoming events and activities. And I'm particularly excited about this. In my past life, I was membership, sponsorship and sales at the Halifax Chamber of Commerce. And I also used to sell to the business community in a business publication for a number of years. So I'm looking forward to actually working with and regularly, hopefully meeting with members of the Stratford business community, because I think that relationship is really, really important. So yeah, that's kind of it for now. We're going to meet February 12th, 2025 will be our first sustainability meeting. So I don't know if anyone has any questions.
No, great. I think it's a great committee. It's unique in, I think, among municipalities in the fact that it marries the business side and you know, the economic development side with the environmental side, both looking for sustainable initiatives, sustainability initiatives to help them both those aspects prosper.
Yes.
Usually there's a bit of a conflict, but this brings everybody together and gives an opportunity for balancing the environmental considerations with business considerations and vice versa.
Yep.
Thank you for taking that on. Any comments or questions on the report? If not, we'll move on to human resources.
Oh, we do just have the transit.
Oh, I'm sorry, transit, yeah.
No, that's okay, and it is, just a little shift. So the transit, the graph is there. Sorry, I've just lost my meeting there. The transit graph is there, and I think we can see that there was a little dip in ridership in December. And I guess we could speculate, November had the highest ridership of all time. And then we did do kind of a disproportionate dip in December, but we'll see where it levels out for January. I am hoping to, and I will meet with Jeremy Crosby, just so I can learn all there is to learn about transit. And as I've kind of been vocal in the past, I am interested in learning not only the overall ridership numbers, but who those riders are, and whether we're filling buses all day, every day, and just how we can work with our residents to improve their access to transit. And I know we've spoken in the past, just the barrier, transportation as a barrier is significant, kind of, and I would like to work with all to improve our transit and access to transit. So,
I think it's very
yeah.
timely now that we've got the study has been completed and the recommendations have been made by consultants to how
Yeah.
we can improve. And we've got our requests in for runs within Stratford to take people from point A to point B within Stratford without going into Charlottetown, which is a big need right now in our community.
It's a really big need, and I think I learned that from my own kids, in that public transit to me is most appealing when it shows that we're prioritizing people's time, so that, you know, if you're relying on public transit, that we're not sending you on an added route that's 40 minutes longer. It's not appealing, because transit riders have jobs and schools and all that sort of stuff to get to. So yeah, I look forward to hopefully working with the staff and transit to improve efficiencies in this too.
Look forward to it. And there were 230 people that
Still-
did ride in December, so that's a fairly
Still
significant number.
Significant and higher than, you know, there still shows growth. It just, the dip is, you know, and there could be all kinds of reasons.
It's 230 a day, I guess, yeah.
230 a day.
Maybe new chair coming on board, I'm not sure.
Pardon me?
A new chair coming on board, maybe, I'm not sure.
Of this committee?
In charge of transit,
Okay,
sorry.
thank you. Is that you?
If I may, one small comment, and I'm not going to talk about my trip anymore, but another country that I was amazed to see what we do in PEI is mirrored in we have mirrored from other countries, but they also go an extra little bit where if you have a 5-year-old or younger, parents ride for free. If you're 65 years old and you're with another adult, the adult rides for free.
Yeah.
There were so many stipulations like that, which made it really quite easy to travel around. And you just see buses after buses after buses for transit. Very few cars in any cities or towns or villages. It's buses, subways, sometimes like a electric travel car, whatever. But mostly buses and subways. But I was amazed to see the lack of cars. But when you get to a place like a gas station or some area, to see, like, you might see 50 charging stations, where we have 1 or 2 here, kind of thing. So almost all the cars in a lot of these places were electric, which I was amazed to see. And some of the gas stations have like 4 pumps. Huge station with 4 pumps, that's it. The rest are electrical plug-ins. So it's nice to see we're heading that direction, but with the busing system, they really make it, especially for seniors and for adults with children, very accessible for them to ride it. So I hope we continue with that too here, so.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other comments or questions about the Intergovernmental Affairs report?
Just a comment on just a question on
Or-
transit, Jeremy Crosby. Our bus stop, our areas, waiting areas, are we responsible for cleaning them out? Or Mr. Cassidy is?
Referring to snow removal or just?
Yeah, snow removal.
They're responsible for cleaning the shelter in the interior of the
shelter.
shelter itself. It's the company. We do pay Trias to do that.
Yeah.
But if there's large mounds of snow out on the border or in the right of way, sometimes we have to get involved. But the actual interior of the actual bus stop, we pay to get that cleared.
Who paid? We paid?
We contract it out.
Oh, we contracted
Trias,
out. So anywhere the bus stops, there's an area cleared for residents?
It's supposed to be, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
If there are any that you see that aren't cleared, let us know.
okay.
Just one more thing on the sustainability. Interesting to see yesterday, Transport Canada removed they kind of canned the EV incentive program, the $5,000 federal program, ran out of
Rebate on
money.
electric cars,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that was to go till the end of March and then be reevaluated or re-upped somehow, but they stopped that. So just to the point about.
Just ran out of money, yeah.
Yeah, on the charging stations and things like that, I think that's the biggest knock on things is not having charging stations, but it'll be interesting to see where things go. I know sounds like the same thing's gonna happen in the US where they're gonna eliminate rebates, so, yeah, just be interesting to see where we go.
Okay, well, that's sustainability. Anything else on sustainability or transit? If not, thank you for your report, Councillor, and we'll move to Human Resources. We have a resolution there, and Deputy Mayor Steve Gallant chairs the HR Committee. I'll ask him to move the resolution.
Okay. A resolution, Town of Stratford Resolution HR 001, 2025, respectful workplace policy, led by myself, whereas as a requirement on the Workers' Compensation Board of PEI on their Occupational Health and Safety Act, the organizations have a harassment policy. And whereas it is desirable that the town has a harassment policy, respectful workplace policy, brackets, be it resolved that the attached policy number 2025 HR-01, respectful workplace policy, be hereby adopted. And this bears the recommendation, nothing on the bottom?
Yeah, I know we did discuss it at HR Committee. I thought that it was recommended at HR Committee.
This bears the recommendation.
I know that, I remember discussing it at,
I know it was briefly talked about maybe at the Committee of the Whole meeting or HR, but we can add that on there, the last HR meeting.
Yeah.
okay.
But
Yeah, we had a.
Yep.
we did have a big discussion, but did we have the whole workplace policy as it exists now at that time?
There are some slight changes that were made to it. So to give it a little bit of background on this, the policy was looked at by our HR committee quite some time ago. And in the transition between the former CAO and myself, we didn't realize that the policy was ever formalized. So it was reviewed by myself. I did talk to the HR committee again, and we did do some changes slightly to the policy when we brought it to council the first time. And I know that I asked for council to look at it and give me a response. I think it was just before Christmas. I think it was a week's time or something like that. Never heard back from anybody. So what I did do, though, is once we had our new HR person in place, I got them to review it in full.
Yep.
And then we submitted it to the Workers' Compensation Board for their review as well. And we did get the information back that they had no changes to the document. So there are some slight changes to this document from the previous one, but it's not very many changes.
So just for clarity, and I don't mean to challenge, but we didn't have an HR person in place when this policy was before us.
Correct?
So when I read through the policy as it is now, I do have questions in regards to the processes, because doesn't seem as clear to me is that the HR person would be the person responsible for implementing complaints or overseeing, so that the reporting process is still similar to what it was prior to the hiring of an HR person.
Correct.
Which would make me possibly want to discuss it further.
Certainly, but the HR person is not the first line of communication with regard to complaints. We still want it to go through our department heads and myself, but the HR person will be involved in it. if someone doesn't feel comfortable approaching the department head or the CAO, they can proceed to go directly to the HR person. But we still want to follow the chain of command of what we have within the organization. Unless it's something with regard to the department head or the CAO directly, then the HR person would be engaged, and I believe that is in the document. And they felt that this was the best procedure as well.
And is this modeled on any other organizations?
Yes, we looked at several. Halifax just did a brand-new HR policy or respectful workplace policy, and our new HR person did review that in detail and did pick up a few items from there to include in ours. So yes, it has been modeled on something that's been fairly recent. And again, we did get, you know, fully transparent here, we did have someone from the Workers' Compensation Board, an officer, come in and indicate that they had a report or had information that indicated that there wasn't an harassment policy in place here, and it was a surprise to me. I knew we had a sexual harassment policy in place, but like I said, it was in transition, so as soon as we were notified of that, we went to work and made sure that we got things finished up. It was worked on by our HR committee, but so we did have it reviewed by Workers' Compensation Board.
So what I'm hearing is that it's important that we have this in place, and can we go back and amend it if there are any things that seem to be...
Certainly can, or you can choose to defer it. I have sent it to the Workers' Compensation Board to indicate that we do have something that we are very close to approving, and I indicated that we would be bringing it to the meeting, but they were very satisfied with what we had. I think some small amendments wouldn't be an issue, so you could either defer it to the next meeting with a further review at the next committee of the whole meeting, or you can make some amendments this evening. But I'm not sure what is the concern.
Okay, so I'll put it back to Councillor Chandler then. Are you, would you like to see it deferred and present a motion to that effect or amendment to the resolution?
I think if there is an openness or a willingness that potentially there could be amendments to this policy as it exists, then I don't wish to hold anything up. If workers' comp is requiring this document, I do wish to discuss the reporting process further. As I know, we've chatted about the importance of this role and how many HR issues in an organization this size there are, and how much time is spent on those things. And I would love to see this policy make use of the person in the HR role or maximize use of that person.
Okay, so I guess...
So can we have a little conversation? Do you guys feel, do you understand where I'm coming from?
I understand where you're coming from. So just so I understand, though, that our newly minted Human Resources Officer has reviewed this policy and provided some input.
Correct.
I mean, this is just from my perspective, I'm really deferring to that person's experience. In this, I do expect and anticipate that a document like this will be a living document in any event, will need to be updated over time, but I've reviewed it. It's not my area of expertise. If the person who we've hired, this is what their daily bread is satisfied with it and has provided that input, I'm going to lean on that myself personally.
That person's been in the role for 6 days and has been reviewing a number of policies that have been on the books and probably required some changes for quite some time. So
this document in particular was their priority to review prior to this council meeting to ensure that there was anything else that needed to be added, and they did make some changes.
Mm-hmm.
I guess for clarity for me, I guess you're concerned about the reporting. You want people to report directly to the HR person prior to going to the department heads or CAO?
No, not necessarily. I just think that I have voiced concerns previously about the reporting, and I've done a lot of, I guess, in seeing the ways workplaces are changing and the availability of education and the changes in definitions on workplace wellness and harassment, workplace violence, et cetera, in knowing that we are trying to kind of come up to a new, in knowing that is room for improvement, I do think that this HR person, yeah, I do think that we could improve our current processes, and not specific to this workplace, but it's proven in organizations that, you know, that people are more apt to express themselves when there is that sort of separation from their direct reports. And that's not specific to here. I'm not critical. It's just the way it is. And I have been vocal about wanting an HR person here. And I'm gonna keep saying that. And I'm not gonna play the woman card. At the same time, I do have to speak to you guys in that voice as well.
Not aware of a lot of significant problems in the past, but we certainly, and this person comes with a lot of experience in HR, and like I said, this was the first policy. I wanted to make sure that we did get this right, but definitely open to some amendments or changes, but they did feel that this was the best reporting process, and but it definitely does lay out in the document that if someone is uncomfortable with reporting to their direct supervisor, director, and/or CAO, they can proceed directly to the HR person. But the preference is that
maybe,
they do.
if you don't mind, Councillor, I'll go around the table and just ask people, you know, what their views are on this, the other councillors, and then maybe you can have a sense for whether you want to present a motion to defer or to approve.
If
Okay,
I may
so-
first, Your
Yeah,
Worship.
go ahead, yeah.
Just taking some guidance, I guess, on this. I wasn't involved in the conversation. I do work at Workers' Compensation Board, PEI, and didn't maybe see this as a conflict since we're compliant with the legislative requirement and the policies there. But I think getting into a discussion on the merits of the policy, I'd probably rather stay away from this discussion. I have not been involved in any of the matters pertaining to this or any of the others, and I'm not involved in OHS matters other than through policies, but I think I'd probably rather just leave for this part, if that's okay.
Understandable, yeah, yeah. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I see where Jill's coming from. I mean, I know the last meeting, we're just handing a copy of the workplace harassment policy, and then just told a look at it and went through it that way, and following, he hired an HR person, which is great. I mean, from day one, our CEO wanted a HR person, and I can't see anything wrong with deferring for another month and having discussions around the table at a committee of a whole with the HR person in the room with us. You know, it's a month away. I can't see any,
Okay, thank you.
you know,
Councillor-
just looking to have all councillors on board with this, that's all.
Sure. Councillor McDonald?
My primary thought, I guess, is that if our HR person has signed off on it, then I'm not substituting her judgment for my own, but I do defer to her experience all the same. That being said, I mean, I do appreciate that turn of phrase from our deputy mayor that, you know, if we can get to a point where we're all in agreement, and if we can find a way to build consensus, and if it requires deferral, I'm not opposed to the deferral by any stretch of the imagination, I guess, where I would say. Although, that being said, I am backstopping that to say I do rely and defer to our HR person's expertise, yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Dowling?
Yeah, I can appreciate all the comments made, and Councillor Chandler's point is well taken in relation to, I guess what I look at is we had the opportunity to discuss it somewhat in detail at the last committee of the whole. It's moved on to the hands of the CAO in conjunction with the new HR person. We've gotten a response from that individual. I'd be comfortable with both, moving it to the next committee of the whole for more in-depth discussion, or approving it tonight based on the expertise of our staff and understanding that this policy, as with any policy, can be brought forward again for revision if issues are pointed out that might not be as comprehensive or meet the needs of council and staff at a future date. So I'm on the fence in that regard. I don't think it would hurt to defer it for a month. And also, I don't think that it would be injurious to carry the motion forward tonight with the understanding that we can readdress it as with any policy
Okay, thank you.
down the road.
Councillor Cox?
Yeah, I agree with what's been said so far, especially Ron made some great points there. I'm fully agree with deferring it, and let's look at this a little further, et cetera. I've met the HR person. They seem like they're very capable, and they come from a background at the public school system, and they had a lot of background before that. You know, and I do have concerns the fact that, and I've seen this before, that sometimes when you eliminate a CAO or a CEO, whatever, in the loop, people sometimes feel that they can just run the HR person all the time with their with complaints here and there, and it just becomes a little bit of a quick step through a drive-through kind of thing. And that's one concern I have about that. But I'd like to hear some more input, et cetera, on that. But I and unless I'm totally off track, I knew what Jeremy said there, that for most organizations, it does go to the CAO kind of thing. But if the person has a conflict with CAO or for some reason is not comfortable with the CAO being involved in the process, that then they can, you know, go forward or, you know, put a recommendation in to go to the HR and to bypass the CAO kind of thing. But in using those situations, it's a fairly serious situation that's happening anyhow. So.
In addition to that, if the complaint is directly about me, they can go directly to the mayor as well. That's in the
Yes.
document as well. So I have no issue if you want to defer it to another meeting. I think that Workers' Compensation Board are satisfied that we have the document pretty well in place. And, you know, based on their email, there was no further action. The order that was put in place, I believe, has been satisfied. But we want to keep this moving and make sure that we do have it in place as quickly as possible. Somebody did approach Workers' Compensation Board, I don't know within the organization or within council, or if it was private citizen, or I don't know where it came from, and it was anonymous, but someone did approach them that we didn't have it in place. And as soon as I was notified of that, I wanted to make sure that we do have it in place as soon as possible. So
That's great.
Okay.
Yeah, and last thing I'll say, I personally read through what was presented here, and I have no problems with any part of that. And it's reviewed by the Workers' Comp Board, whatever, and it's reviewed by our HR person. I have to think their expertise comes into play.
Okay.
But we'll see. I do look forward to more discussion, though.
Okay, so I'll put it back to Councillor Chandler. What would you like to do?
I would prefer to defer it for further discussion.
Okay, so we've got a moved and seconded motion on the floor. So do you want to present a motion to defer and get it seconded, and then we'll vote on that? Okay, so do you want to present such a motion?
So, yes, I'm putting forward a motion that we defer the Town of Stratford Council policy, number 2025-HR01, for further discussions at our next committee meeting.
Okay, seconder, thank you. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Okay, so we'll discuss that at the next, or an upcoming committee of the whole as soon as possible.
Right. This month.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is Intergovernmental Affairs and Accountability, and the new chair of that committee is Councillor Jill Chandler, and I'll just hand the floor over to her for her report.
Our first meeting is going to be held on January 23rd, and a mix of new and returning committee members. I'm really looking forward to this committee and participating in it. Again, early preparations for the annual resident survey. There's ongoing meetings and discussions with municipal, provincial, and federal representatives. Results matter. Key performance indicators for the town of Stratford will begin being updated in the coming weeks, including updates to the website launched in 2024 to report on them, and preparations for the IA meeting later this month. It's kind of what's in the report right now.
Thank you, and just for everyone's information, this is a very important committee. It includes relationships with other levels of government and outside partners. But it also has responsibility for performance measurement, making sure that we're accountable and transparent to residents. But a third one that's not in the actual title is engagement, that we actually, this committee is responsible for engagement of our residents through any means that we can get their input on areas of decision-making and areas where council would like to have, to know the views of residents and also to provide information to residents. So it's a very important committee. I appreciate you taking the chair of this, Councillor. Okay, any other comments or questions on this report? If not, we'll move to the next item, which is inquiries by members of council. Are there any inquiries by anyone about the town? Yeah, we'll just wait for Councillor Jackson to come back. Oh, here he comes.
If I can make one small thing here. I received a note from a resident of Stratford in relation to a program that's being done right now it's in Milton, PEI, and it's what the program is called Snow Angels. And so what happens is for residents in the area that need someone to shovel off their deck or shovel their walkway or something, especially for people with disabilities or some of our more senior people who live in the communities. So what they do is people can contact, there's a phone number and everything, and what they have is you can either contact the Snow Angels of Milton community, or you can have a sign even put up on your deck so people will see it, and then they can volunteer this winter to shovel your walkway or shovel your doorstep off, kind of thing. So it's actually, I thought, a pretty good program. So I'm actually going to look into that a little bit more, and I'll bring that to maybe the community of the whole, whatever. But I thought that's something worth at least investigating, and it seemed like it's a pretty good idea in merit. So
Great, it'll help a lot of people. Thanks.
yeah.
Yeah, great. Okay, any other inquiries by members of council about anything about the town? If not, we'll go to other committees. Stratford Seniors Complex. I'll ask the chair of that committee, Deputy Mayor Gallant, to give his report.
Thank you, Your Worship. We didn't meet last month. Review of the draft building assessment report from Coles. A meeting will be set up with staff to review the report. We have a building spreadsheet based on a building assessment report to help us guide the maintenance and capital projects that need to be completed over the next 5 to 7 years for staff use. Reviewing the new application program protocols to apply for new funding agreement through CMHC to replace our expiring agreement, and a generator inspection, a fire alarm inspection has been completed. Have been having some issues with snow removal. Spoke with the contractor to get the issue rectified, and currently right now there's 26 people on the waiting list. And just information too, with the fire at the senior St. John's Place, I was just talking to Kim, and we're talking about the people and the residents with tenant insurance, and I don't think there's a requirement under our policy here at Stratford Town Council, or Stratford Town itself, policy for tenant insurance. So what's going to happen, I guess, in place, I spoke to Kim and maybe talked to Jeremy Crosby and Paulette and Wendy, talked about just doing some door knocks and sort of information session if people want to register or inquire about that, tenant insurance, if they don't have it or have it. But I think moving forward, we should probably, as a town, look at it just to cover ourselves. So anyways, it's a management thing. I'll talk to Jeremy Crosby about it, and Kim in communications, and it was a good suggestion, Kim, and we just sat back. And so I think, I know the company I work with now, my company, we run into a lot of people with no tenant insurance, and it's very cheap. It's $200 or $300 a year or something, and it covers up to $10,000 or $15,000 worth of stuff. So we're just gonna, I think we're gonna put a sign together and And then I'll just do some door knocks and talk to the residents over there, and then try and encourage them to get tenant insurance if they don't have it now. And then in the meantime, I think we probably should look down the road. If any new tenants coming in the building itself, we should make a requirement that they do have tenant insurance with the rent. So that's the update there. So any questions?
I have one question. I see that there has been a generator inspection and fire alarm inspection. Do the residents go through an actual fire drill?
Yes, we do that on a regular basis.
Okay. I noticed, well, of course, with the recent fire, but I was in a building where there was a drill and realized in that setting that there wasn't snow removed from one of the areas that the group is directed to go to. So I do see the value and the importance of those sort of things quite regularly, because it can be kind of overlooked. So is that a quarterly or an annual, or?
We do it twice a year, but actually they end up doing it more than that because the fire alarm goes off more than that. So
Okay.
they know where the muster station
Okay.
is and they're used to it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great question, Councillor Chandler, on protocol like that, because it's just it's needed. I know you're saying it might hesitate on or laugh about it, but it's when things
no.
happen, when things go south, that's we want to be able to handle it.
The outcome at St. John House is outstanding, and the fact that it was in the middle of the night, and that they're seniors and potentially
That's right.
vulnerable, or mobile, like all that sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
it's really, really important to provide them with those opportunities to run through when we're not in crisis mode.
Could save lives, yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, just one last thing. I echo what the Deputy Mayor says about the tenant insurance, and I think it is cheap. It is really cheap, and it is something that maybe, we have credit union in town, there's some others. If someone would maybe go out and speak to them about that, I mean, it's a no-brainer, really. Yeah, like, it is really cheap, but it would be a good requirement to have.
Yeah.
Because it is minimal on a monthly basis, especially if we're kind of, our rents are geared to income, and make that affordable if we can. But yeah, it's a no-brainer.
I wonder, Kim, question? I wonder, Kim, the update on CMHC there with our policy expires and renewable.
Yeah. So we received some information from CMHC. We have to fill in some forms. So basically, all that we have to do right now is we have to just say that we are interested in renewing our agreement. It's a different type of agreement, but that's all that is happening now. Is we have some forms to fill in, which we've started to fill in, and we'll bring the information to Committee of the Whole, and then we'll say that yes, we are interested in moving forward with the new agreement, and then the new agreement will be sent to us in a few months. But the new agreement they're not long-term. The new agreement will just go till March 31st, 2028. They're very short-term.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Kim.
Just one question, Your Worship. In light of the fact we have 26 in the waiting list, and I know we've mentioned amongst council over the last couple of years how nice it would be if we could expand our inventory of seniors units. Just wondering if there might be any opportunity through any type of programs. And I know, politically speaking, it's not the best climate to be looking for additional funding, but I think it should be at the top of our mind as we go through and explore options on a continuous basis. And I'm sure, knowing Kim and knowing our CAO, that's being done. And I just think it's something that we should continue to strive for throughout whatever resources we may be able to do or utilize in order to be able to meet the need in the community, because the need is definitely there. We want to keep our seniors in the community, and we want to have opportunities for them to have comfortable housing. And I just maybe Director O'Connell, if you could just speak to what is being done on an ongoing basis to be on the lookout for those resources, and what, as a council, we might be able to do to help facilitate new facilities?
I know on a regular basis, the CAO meets with provincial representatives, and we do have that as one of our lists of requests, is we would be interested in more senior housing in Stratford, and we'd be willing to partner.
Because we do have a property, or a property that might accommodate an additional facility. I understand.
Yeah, just to add to that, there has been some conversations about the property on the Trans-Canada Highway, and we've also had inquiries from a developer to see about purchasing that property, and we've reiterated that we want to see some type of government facility built on that property. So that discussion has been had here just recently again, and with both of our MLAs to indicate that we want those discussions to happen soon. And I know they did meet with them once, but I did have a phone call with that group the other day, and they still are looking at coming up with some type of a viable option for there. And seniors housing is one of them as well. So it could be medical home, or it could be some other option there, childcare. But there's 3 options on the table. But definitely seniors was mentioned several times, and we are looking at any other options where we can get into a facility similar to what we had before. So we'd certainly like to have some more of those facilities here if we could.
Yeah, good question, Councillor Dowling. I think affordable seniors housing is a big need in our community, as evidenced by the fact there are 26 people. We only have, was it 16 units? Yeah, so we've got 16 units and we got 26 people waiting. So we've got, we could fill another facility if we had it. And for a town our size, that number has stayed the same for quite a number of years. So we really, it's one of, I think it's got to be one of the things we really look at seriously to see how we can get more affordable seniors housing in our community as soon as possible. Okay, if there are no other questions, thank you for your report, Deputy Mayor. Thank you. The next item is appointments to the committees, and there's a resolution to appoint a new committee member to the Planning and Heritage Committee. I'll ask the chair of that committee, Councillor Jeff McDonald, to move that resolution.
Thank you. Yes, so much support for the resolution. So it is moved by myself as chair of Planning and Heritage. Whereas council is, sorry about that. Whereas council has established a number of standing committees and subcommittees in the council procedural bylaw number 47 to advise and assist council in its deliberations, and whereas the bylaw provides for the appointment of residents and stakeholders by council to provide public input to council in its deliberations, be it therefore resolved that the following resident be appointed to the Planning, Development, and Heritage Committee for the remainder of a 2-year term ending on November the 30th, 2026 as follows. Derek Cronmeyer.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that resolution? Who?
Jody?
Jody? Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, any discussion?
Just saying, happy to have Mr. Cronmeyer step forward. We do appreciate that. We did have a very last-minute vacancy, so yeah, do appreciate that.
Yeah, and these people are as you know, apply, and they're evaluated based on their experience and their application form, all the information. So I'm sure this person will do really well. So really look forward to it. I'll call the question then. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried. Okay, thank you, Councillor. No proclamations. Any other business anyone would like to bring to the table at this time? If not, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. We're now adjourned. Thank you.